Question 1 on the Massachusetts ballot this year asks voters to decide, should the state auditor be allowed to audit the state legislature? Today, the auditor's job is to conduct performance audits, not financial audits, of many state agencies. The law that requires these audits does not include a review of the state's legislative chambers. If question 1 passes, the law would be updated to explicitly add the legislature to that list. Recent polling shows the vast majority of eligible voters in Massachusetts support the measure, but some opponents argue this question could shake up the balance of power in state government. Last year, current state auditor Diana DiZoglio requested documents to try to audit the legislature. She wanted to examine legislation, how lawmakers are appointed to committees, and various policies of the House and Senate. But both Speaker of the House Ron Mariano and Senate President Karen Spilka refused to comply. Attorney General Andrea Campbell's office stepped in and said DiZoglio did not have the authority to conduct the audits without the legislature's consent, but she did allow this year's ballot question to go forward. One of the biggest supporters of the measure is DiZoglio herself. The issue was central to her 2022 election campaign. DiZoglio told WBUR the audits would shine light on a legislature that she said frequently ranks as one of the least transparent, least accessible, and least accountable in the nation. She also pointed out that public records laws and open meeting laws do not apply to the legislature. And the audit proposal has a lot of supporters. A recent poll suggests 80% of Massachusetts voters back the measure versus 6% who disapprove. Unlike other ballot initiatives, question 1 has no registered opponents, but some legal scholars and political science experts argue it would violate a key part of the state constitution, namely the separation of powers between the executive and legislative branches. And they warn that it could enable the auditor's office to harass the legislature and interfere with the legislative process. DiZoglio's predecessor, Suzanne Bump, has come out in opposition. She says expanding the auditor's powers would politicize and degrade the office. And a spokesperson for Speaker Mariano's office said Mariano plans to vote against the measure and opposes the audits on constitutional grounds. If question 1 does pass, the legislature could agree to comply, or it could end up in the courts. In that case, it would be up to judges to decide whether or to what extent the state auditor can examine the legislature. A yes vote would specify that the state auditor has the authority to audit the legislature. A no vote would make no change to the law. For 90.9 WBUR, I'm Simone Rios.